Use headphones for a better experience.
I always thought elevators were the safest way to travel between floors, until one night, a simple ride down changed my life forever. What started as a routine descent turned into a never-ending nightmare, and a lesson I'll never forget. I work late nights at a downtown office building. Most nights, I'm the last one out, which means an empty building, quiet hallways, and eerie silence. But I never thought much of it until that night. I finished work at 11:45 p.m. and headed to the elevator. The building's lights dim automatically after hours, leaving only faint emergency lighting. It always made the place feel more like a mausoleum than an office. When I pressed the button for the ground floor, the elevator hummed to life. The doors closed, and I leaned back, scrolling through my phone. The ride was slow, as usual, but when I looked up, the number above the doors still read 12. The elevator hadn't moved. I pressed the button again, harder this time. Nothing. I sighed, assuming it was a minor glitch. Then, with a sudden jolt, the elevator began to move, not down, but up. Confused, I checked the panel. None of the upper floor buttons were lit. The elevator climbed past the top floor, 14, and kept going. The display flickered, showing numbers that didn't exist. 15, 16, 17. Panic set in. I pressed the emergency stop button. The elevator stopped abruptly, but the lights flickered, and a faint, static-filled hum filled the space. Then I heard it, a faint knock. It was coming from above. I stared at the ceiling, heart pounding. The knock grew louder, more insistent. "Hello?" I called out, my voice shaky. The knocking stopped, replaced by a faint scraping sound. Then the elevator started moving again. It was going down now, but not smoothly. The lights flickered, the walls creaked, and the hum grew louder. The floor numbers on the display descended rapidly. 14, 13, 12, but then it kept going. 11, 10, 9. The elevator wasn't stopping. I pressed the ground floor button repeatedly, but it was useless. The numbers continued to count down. 5, 4, 3. I should have hit the basement at B, but the display kept going. -1, 2, 3. The elevator slowed and the doors creaked open. I hesitated, staring into the dark abyss beyond. There were no lights, just a long, empty corridor stretching into darkness. Something compelled me to step out, despite every instinct screaming at me to stay inside. The air was cold and damp, and the floor beneath my feet felt uneven, like old cobblestones. My footsteps echoed unnaturally loud, as if the corridor stretched forever. Then I heard it, faint whispers coming from the shadows. I froze, straining to listen. "Leave." The whisper was barely audible, but unmistakable. I turned back to the elevator, but the doors had closed, and the panel was blank. The whispers grew louder, overlapping and distorted. Panic overtook me, and I started running. The corridor twisted and turned, the walls narrowing and expanding. The whispers followed me, growing into shouts. Finally, I stumbled into a large, dimly lit room. In the center stood an old, ornate elevator, nothing like the modern one I had stepped into earlier. The doors were slightly ajar, revealing an interior shrouded in darkness. I felt drawn to it, as if something or someone was calling me. Against my better judgment, I stepped inside. The elevator jolted violently, and the doors slammed shut. The hum returned, louder than ever, and the display above the doors showed a single, unblinking 0. Then the elevator began to descend rapidly. I screamed, clutching the railings as the air grew colder, and the hum turned into a deafening roar. Just when I thought the elevator would crash, it stopped abruptly. The doors opened, revealing my office lobby. I stumbled out, gasping for air. Everything looked normal, except for one thing. The clock on the wall read 8:15 a.m. I had been in the elevator for over 8 hours. My phone buzzed with messages and missed calls. My coworkers, worried about my disappearance, had called the police. I tried to explain what happened, but no one believed me. The building's maintenance team found no issues with the elevator, and security footage showed me entering the elevator, but never leaving. I quit my job the next day. But the experience didn't leave me. Even now, I can't step into an elevator without hearing faint whispers or feeling the hum beneath my feet. I've learned to take the stairs, no matter how many floors I have to climb, because sometimes the easiest path down is the one that takes you somewhere you can't come back from. In today's fast-paced world, we often look for shortcuts, whether it's in life, work, or relationships. But shortcuts can lead to unintended consequences. Sometimes it's better to take the long way, even if it's harder, to avoid places we were never meant to go.
Don't miss out on the scares. Go subscribe to the channel for terrifying stories, legend breakdowns, and more. Bell turn on notifications and experience horror like never before.